It's a gorgeous afternoon for some soccer in Chester with the Philadelphia Union kicking off against Orlando City in what will be the final match of 2017 for both teams. Seated above Section 113 at Talon Energy Stadium, welcome to Union Pregame Live. I'm Marissa Pilla.
And I'm Dave Leno. It's decision day around Major League Soccer. All 11 games around the country will kick off at the top of the hour. Now, the Union and Orlando, Marissa, are eliminated from playoff contention, but the Union have been so successful at home and really want to rebound after the tough loss at Chicago.
Well, that loss in Chicago is what Jim Curtin called a microcosm of their road games this season. They weren't able to close things out. Chicago got on the board really quickly. Just 3 minutes into the match, Nemanja Nikolic receives this beautiful long ball and takes a nice little hop. He goes one-on-one with Andre Blake and then shoots it far low corner to get Chicago up early. That is tied for the earliest goal allowed by the Union this season. But then Alejandro Bedoya sends this ball in for CJ Sapong, who falls, and Johan Kappelhoff tries to clear it, but he actually scores on his own net. Everything's tied at one apiece. Still first half, Bedoya gets this volley and taps it right back into the net to give the Union a 2-1 lead.
But this is when the game changed in the second half. The call on Jack Elliott by Alan Chapman led to the penalty by Nemanja Nikolic, and he buries it past Andre Blake. And that continued to the 78th minute as well. A beautiful ball up ahead. Brandon Vincent had a phenomenal game. And look at that one touch from Nemanja Nikolic. Leads the Golden Boot standings. He's a prime candidate for MLS MVP. As we take a look at the Eastern Conference standings, the top 6 clubs have clinched a playoff spot. So today's results will decide seedings. Toronto FC has already locked up the Supporters' Shield. They'll have a knockout round bye. If New York City FC beats Columbus at Citi Field today, they'll grab the 2nd seed. Chicago needs to get past Houston and is looking for a New York City FC draw or loss to move up. And of course, the Union are well behind those clubs as well. But the big takeaway for me in 2017 is that the Union did not have depth of scoring from a multitude of positions and really gave up too many goals after the 75th minute this year.
Well, they gave up 3 game-winning goals, 4 game-tying goals in the final 15 minutes of play this season. That just cannot happen. The inconsistency towards the ends of games, not keeping on to those leads and not closing out games really has been their struggle this season. Also, what's funny to point out is if the Union win tonight, they'll have 10 wins at home this season, which furthers a franchise record they set earlier this season. And they'll also finish with 42 points, which is the same number of points that they finished with last season. That was good enough to get them into the playoffs. But as we know this year, the league looks very different.
But the good news is the Union's youth is shining bright throughout 2017, should progress further in 2018 as well. These guys have just been monstrous in their rookie campaigns.
Yeah, youth, and not only that, but just guys who are new to the league, like Harris Medunian. He might be one of their best additions. Really created nice chemistry with Bedoya playing out of the back. Great passing, 33 games, 2 goals, 11 assists. And then there's Jack Elliott. What a steal this kid has been. 4th rounder. People weren't even sure if he'd make the roster, let alone the starting 11. He's really shown up big, played smart, great vision and composure. Having a Rookie of the Year worthy start, 143 clearances, that's 8th most in the league. And Marcus Epps, 18 games, 2 goals. Someone else that the team has been very high on in terms of his work rate.
As for the guys who have been here, Andre Blake has posted 9 shutouts this season, 3 more than his goalkeeper of the year campaign in 2016. He's been so fun to watch this year. CJ Sapong is having a career season at the number 9. His 14 goals are a career high, and he's tied with Sebastian Letou for the Union single-season scoring record, and he's linked up beautifully with Alejandro Bedoya, who, if you recall, started the season at the number 10, then shifted back to his more comfortable spot at the number 8. When Bedoya gets advanced up the pitch, he tends to execute efficiently in that final third. But back to the guy, Marissa, who's been such a stalwart in the back, Andre Blake. This season, coaches will tell you he's really improved his kicking, which is sometimes overlooked with keepers. He's exceptional in the air and gets big when he leaves his line as well. Gets the Red Bull game. Look at him stop Bradley Wright Phillips right at point-blank range, and then on restarts, just punches it away off. And his presence in the back has been big, especially when the backs change. Makes that huge stop on Lamar Nagel. Back to the Red Bull game as well. Coming up huge to rob the Red Bulls yet again. Whether it's Elliott, Yaro, Wijnaldum on the pitch, Blake has been so good. And CJ Sapong as well, too.
Having a great year, CJ Sapong. In his 7 years in the league, has never reached double-digit goals until this year, as you said, racking up 14, 1 away from setting that new franchise record and beating out Sebastian Letou. He's been playing his role really well, which is using his size, tenacity, physicality, close to the goal, getting himself in good positioning, and finishing strong. All of his goals have come from the PK spot or closer. 3rd most goals inside the 6-yard box this season with 6. He's just one of those guys that if you're a center back, quarterback, you'd hate to guard CJ Sapong just because you know he's going to give everything on that field. He is tough to take down, and he plays very physical.
Yeah, you got to relish his physicality this year at the number 9 because he plays that position so different than other guys in the league.
Well, we know today's game doesn't have any consequence in terms of playoff positioning for either of these teams, but there's still a lot to do in terms of off-season. So for more on that, we're going to bring in JP Delacamera and Tommy Smith. Guys, what are you looking for in terms of what the Union are going to do once the season is officially over?
Well, Marissa, certainly the players that you and Dave talked about are expected to be key players next year. Blake, Bedoya, Sapong, and some of the others. But Tommy, change is going to be needed, and I think they need at least a couple of impact players that can change the game and maybe turn some of those road losses and draws into wins.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key thing. I mean, the road losses is exactly what they have to change. There's no question about it. You can't go. I know this league is very difficult to win on the road, but you've got to build a team that can win on the road. And they need to have somebody to finish off these games. As Marissa and Dave said, you know, they had games where they were leading with 15 minutes to go. You got to hold on. Those got to be 3 points in the bank.
Yeah. Now, you don't have to blow it up. Look at what the Chicago Fire has done, right? The last 2 years, Tommy, they were the worst team in the league. They bring 17 players back from last year, but the impact players that they signed, guys like Nikolic, Schweinsteiger, those are difference makers. That's why Chicago's in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, anytime you sign a good goal scorer, you're in heaven. I mean, good goal scorers are worth their weight in gold, and you got to go looking for one. There's got to be one or two around that can be signed somewhere.
Yeah,
Not telling them how to do their jobs or anything, but you need a good goal scorer, someone who can finish those games off. So many times we said, yeah, they're 1-0 up. They need to get 2-0 up. They never got that 2-0 up, and then they ended up either drawing or losing.
Let's see who the Union are starting today. For the starting 11, we go back to the desk.
Thank you very much, JP. Here's Jim Curtin's 4-2-3-1 formation as Andre Blake makes his 65th MLS start today.
And that defense really is going to have their hands full with Orlando because they do have a lot of good attacking options. They need to stay compact, keep their shape, especially in transition, so they don't get caught on counterattacks. Moving up the field, CJ Sapong has the third most aerial duels won this year, which is important considering Orlando as a whole is one of the worst teams in the league defending against aerial duels.
And with the 2017 season winding down, sporting director Ernie Stewart will continue his evaluations to propel his club to a better position next season. JP's interview with Stewart when we return to Chester.